I was even coming up with.
Right,
What was I even singing?
I heard you humming something. I thought that's you were humming.
That was my waiting for start count.
Oh, I thought you were singing the.
Well, fine. We can start off with the. Since DMX died, let's just go back to the DMX song. DMX, once you got it, come and get it, represent it. All you gotta do is say it, baby.
Right. Oh, that.
What y'all really want?
What you really want?
DMX. Oh man.
Rest in peace,
Rest in
DMX.
peace, man. They don't know who we be. He just had the song for aggression. You just need aggression sometimes.
I know.
It's like the best
I
expression.
love Party Up. Party Up is such a good stress relief song.
Yes, and if you want to just get in the mood for workouts or whatever, when you like, there's all DMX songs are just good for like expressing that anger that you don't know how to express. Oh, you know, you're like, I'm angry.
Right. Oh, die.
So it's so sad to hear that he passed this week.
Yeah.
Actually, it was yesterday. Actually, also Prince Philip died too, which is sad. He was almost 100 years old.
I know, just short of it, man. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, just a few months, and it's sad too because he's been alive like longer than anybody.
Yeah, any consort in history.
Yeah. Anyway, like I keep saying, the royal family is very well preserved.
Yes, they are.
So they will always be like 90, 100 years old to me. I think the Queen's mother ended up being over 100, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the only reason why Margaret died early was because she was sad and depressed because of how they were treating her in the family, and because she couldn't
Margaret
do
the
anything.
Queen's sister?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was to medicate herself, she was always doing drugs or smoking too much or drinking too much. And so mostly her issue was smoking and drinking. So she died like at 60
Which
something.
is a good segue
I
into
know.
one of our... By the way, peeps, this episode is brought to you by Judas and the Black Messiah and the United States versus Billie Holiday. And that's the segue was for Billie Holiday. Because, yeah.
That's interesting. That's very interesting that you did that. Yeah, so that's the topic today, people. What's up? We are BlerdTalk with Bola.
And Whitney.
And just big up, Whitney is going to sing like every episode.
Yeah, guys.
Just so y'all know. Y'all
Just
can
so
listen.
you know.
Just enjoy this. Just enjoy the musical episode.
This is the only podcast where every episode you get a musical.
You heard? And what were you singing today? But stay woke.
Bum, bum, bum.
They be creeping. They gon' find you. Gonna catch you sleeping. Ooh, but stay woke. Stay woke. Don't you close your eyes. Got that falsetto. Yeah. Childish Gambino. What? I'm joking. No. We love you though. Heart to you.
We do.
So Whitney, how you been doing? What's been up?
I've been doing good. Like, I'm blerding out. We can just get straight into some blerding out.
Let's talk about what we blerding out about.
That's right.
Blerding out about.
Blerding
All
out.
right.
Blerding out about. Blerding out about. Blerding out.
Okay, we've unstuck her now. Go ahead, Whitney.
Blerding out about. So, like, with my tax return this year, I went
Cha-ching.
I went crazy, guys.
Cha-ching.
I got my tax return. I got Biden bucks, and I just went cray. I
them
went
Biden
so
bucks.
cray. My bank thought that there was a fraud alert. They like, oh, hold up a minute here.
What you been buying, girl? What you been buying?
Well, I got this snazzy new equipment that we on, y'all, which is y'all probably tell a good difference in the audio quality between this. Well, you know, the last episode, which was WandaVision and Captain Marvel and all of our previous episodes because we're on new mics.
Yeah.
New audio interface.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like picking up a whole bunch of background stuff. It's just like it's a nicer quality, nicer stuff. So I got nicer equipment for the podcast. I got myself like a little camera thing. Y'all might see some footage if I let Bola actually release it because I told her I feel like I look like Lumpy Space Princess on here.
I mean, you got pandemic bodies, y'all.
Time. Yeah.
Pandemic bodies. So
Now that it's warming up, I'm going to try to get back into my beach body.
I was never a beach body. I just want to get back to fitting in some of my old clothes I bought last year.
I'm not even trying for that. I was like, those days are gone.
The days are gone. Those days are gone. That's Haim, by the way. If you never heard of him, check that first album. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, I love their first album. So good.
So she got some
good.
furnitures and she got some equipment. She got some good stuff.
I got myself an end of bed storage bench.
You adulting? Really nice. You adulting? Get it?
Adulting
Get
2.0, y'all.
Get it? She's adulting.
Got myself a new comforter. It's so pretty. It's really adulting 2.0 comforter because I had the old one since I was in college, y'all.
Now you know we getting older when we getting excited about furniture.
Yeah, that's right.
But when I saw it, I was like, ooh, I love it.
And but one of the other things I bought was a subscription to Masterclass.
Ooh, you know what? I really wanted to do one of those.
Oh my god, the first one I watched. It was like, you know what? I'm using my phone to like monitor this camera feed, so I can't look on it now. But it was under $200. I'll tell you for sure, like once we wrap up our recording. But yeah, it was under $200. Probably like between $124 and $150, I want to say. But like with my tax return, very affordable. So definitely worth it. Like because you get access to all of the classes on there. And I would say just the one class, so the one that I recently finished watching was making beats, Timberland's class.
Ooh.
And just that one class, I would have gladly played.
Do you get multiple like teaching sessions from different people, or you just like you only take the Timberland class, and you only pay for his class?
Your subscription means that you can watch.
Girl,
however many of them, you can make your way through all
your price?
The ones that they all
I'm excited now.
In a year, then you can do it.
Oh my god, I'm excited! Ooh.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, just the Timberland one would have. So
you can make beats
worth
with
the
me?
money.
Can you make beats?
I mean, I haven't done the assignments yet because I was just watching through. Because I started watching during the work week, so I didn't really have enough time.
Hit me up when you can make some beats. I'm looking for some sound producing. Your girl sing. Your girl got bars. Well, not rapping bars, y'all. Don't do that to me. I'm gonna embarrass some people. It took me forever to learn the Will Smith rap. Okay, from Fresh Prince. Just so you know. I can talk sing.
Philadelphia.
I know, right? Let's not do it.
Okay. But yeah, that's
oh my
god, Masterclass. It's so just that one class was worth it. And now I'm not even a quarter or probably even a fifth of the way through. But after Timberland's beats making and producing class, I started on a composing for film class by Danny Elfman. Which is really cool as well. So I'm just like super excited about it. I also have in my queue like Shonda's one. I'm probably not going to really use that one because she's talking about like
Let me use that
television.
one. Let me use that one.
Yeah, and I'm not, I don't really have any aspirations for like live action for television, but it'll probably have some good lessons in there that could be applied from like an animation standpoint. Because if I made anything, it would probably be an animated series.
Oh, by the way, y'all, Whitney, your girl, she animates, she draws, she does all that. She'll be coming out with her stuff soon, I hope. Soon.
Yeah, I've been saying that for a while. Anyway.
We know procrastination in the nation.
But yeah, I'm also excited about the Margaret Atwood one. I've never actually read any of Margaret Atwood's work.
Do you watch The Handmaid's Tale?
I haven't watched it yet. I've got it in my queue. I haven't started it yet. But they've got
good.
Introductions.
I watch it's good.
I'm sure it is. I just haven't gotten around to it. But like you can see what the like chapter titles are for each of the modules. And just looking at it, I'm like, this looks like it will be awesome for just general story, people who create stories, even if you're not
That sounds like, honestly, now it sounds like that's, because I always look at those ads and I'm just like, but how much does this cost? But I'm like, yeah, but I would really like to know because, these people are doing big things. Yeah, yes. And it's like, it's not really showing you, like, they just show you what works for them, but it's like, you need to know some things to make it work for you. So and that's what I'll be interested in.
This is still, like, what works for them, but it's good to know what works for these masters because,
so
it's not just one.
You can use it for yourself, for your own stuff. That's what I mean.
You don't have to do it exactly the way they do it, but you can take the different lessons that, will work for you. But yeah, like I said, just the Timberland one, I was like, dude, this would have been worth it just for this one. And I've got all these other ones in my queue. So.
Hey, awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm blurting out about.
That is some awesome stuff. And so, unfortunately today, my blerd out is sad.
Aww.
And I must preface it with a song. Goodbye, my lover. Goodbye, my friend. You have been the one. You have been the one for me. Goodbye, my lover. Goodbye, my friend. You have been the one. You have been the one for me. That was James Blunt, y'all. First album. If you don't know who James Blunt is, basically the guy who sang "You're Beautiful," and I know you know that song. But I'm not. It's a Blerd Out, but only because it's been occupying my mind. So anyone who's a Bridgerton fan just got wrecked this week or last week, really, because Rege-Jean Paul, who is the Duke of Hastings, announced, and it was not on April Fool's, so we could take it as a joke. He announced that he's not returning for season 2.
Who is he?
I'm dying. Rege-Jean Paul, the hot black dude that's on Bridgerton.
Is he the main dude?
Yes, he is the main dude.
Oh no!
And he is not
haven't
returning.
watched it yet. I mean, just to give y'all a heads up, I want to say that we're supposed to be doing that this season. Bridgerton.
He's not returning for season 2.
Is that right?
Yes, it's so unfortunate, so sad. I'm so sad. I literally was wrecked. I went online. You have no idea how much he's wrecked everybody. I burn for you. That's a line. I know you haven't watched. He doesn't know. He's replaced Trevor Noah on my list of hot guys. Yes.
Oh my god.
Trevor was on top. Okay, Winston too. Winston Duke. He's replaced both of them.
Oh my goodness.
And yes, he's just.
Well, why isn't he returning? Did he get like is he doing another project?
No, because I'm not gonna lie, he was doing stuff before all this, but Bridgerton really made him blow up. It made him blow up more than he could even imagine. Mm-hmm. So for him, he just was like, well, let me do this one little thing. For him, it was always going to be a 1-season thing because no one ever thought about doing more. There were more books. No one knew it was based on. I didn't know. I've never heard of Bridgerton, the series, but I'm not a reader of romance novels. So if you knew about romance novels, then you knew about the Bridgerton series. But, he was just like, hey, it was always supposed to be like, he made a comment and he made a statement talking about how, he just kind of wanted to come in, do his bit, contribute, and then stick the landing were his words, and then, get out of there.
Get in,
so
get
for
out.
him, it was never supposed to be longer than the 1 season. But he did not imagine and fathom the success and the just blowing up -tude. I don't know a better word to describe what happened of Bridgerton. Like, people just could say Bridgerton and you know who we talking about. Like, yeah. So I'm just like a lot. You have no idea. So many friends and people that I know watch this show messaged me that day. They're like, "Did you hear?"
Oh man.
And I was wrecked. I literally stopped working, and I was like, "This has to be a mistake. This has to be a mistake." Why? And it's such a good show. And I'm like, oh man, they're definitely doing season 2. But I'm just like, me and one of my friends, Kimberly, she was just like, what's the point of watching now? I'm like, me too. If Hotness is not on, Duke of Hastings is not on it. I know each book focused on a different Bridgerton kid, and he's not one of the Bridgerton kids, but he was he was the husband of one of the main girls. Mm-hmm. And so, but it's just like, you can't have him. It's like taking, you know what, Whitney? Now I understand why you are saying that T'Challa should not be recast. Just this one little thing made me understand, because before I was just like, let's recast, because I don't think Chadwick would have wanted us to just not have Black Panther anymore. I don't think he would have just wanted everything to stop. And you were like, oh yeah, let's have a new Black Panther, but not a new T'Challa. And I was like, this makes no sense. T'Challa is not dead. Rest in peace, Chadwick. I love you. And we had this discussion off of the pod, and I was not agreeing with you, but now I do. Reggae, where'd you go? Reggae. Okay, anyway.
Validation.
Reggae, you just wrecked me. If you become the Black James Bond, I'll let go of this.
Oh my god!
But because they are putting it out there,
girl, don't even say that.
They are putting it out there
because now that's just a thirst trap.
Yes, and I need the thirst. Okay, I'm thirsty.
Because I gotta tell you, in United States versus Billie Holiday, there was a scene after she was in the penitentiary, and they were showing what's his name? What was the agent's name? Not Charlie. Jimmy. What? Jimmy?
I think it was Jimmy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy's in his apartment, and he's just reclining on his sofa with his shirt off, and I'm like, this is just not right.
Yeah, exactly. And if you haven't watched Bridgerton yet, but you will know. I can't even speak upon it because there's some scenes, and there's some scenes.
This is an obvious thirst trap. It was. And I'm in it, and the door is closed behind me. I can't even get back out.
For a period piece, there was so much of, what, going on. And then I was just like, they depicted this, but you can't stop watching. Anyway, but honestly, he was just so charming in that luscious, rich voice, you know, that posh British, with a twinge of African because Rege-Jean Paul is half Zimbabwean, half white, half British white. So he grew up in Zimbabwe, and then him and his mom and his dad, they moved back to England when he was like 14. So... But he just, anyway, I'm just sad about that. Like,
Aww,
I can't even blurt out about other things because that thing occupied like most of my time. I was so upset. I'm still upset. Now I'm still not sure. I was like, they should have waited till they announced this because I'm like, a lot of people are going to check out and not watch the next season because he's not going to be there. Anyway, I'm going to give it a try because I'm not going to lie. I can't do the other cast members wrong. The show is actually very good. Very well made. And I do like the show, but I like him on it the most. So I have to deal with that now. I don't know.
Oh man.
Anyway, Whitney. All right. So you guys know the two movies we were reviewing and talking about today. It's kind of a heavy topic. You just feel like, you know, singing the "Fight the Power, We the People" kind of thing because they're both two movies, biopics actually. We're talking about biopics right now.
Black biopics, y'all.
Yeah, black biopics that are awesome, wonderful. One of them is Judas and the Black Messiah, and the other one is, tell him, Whitney.
The United States versus Billie Holiday.
Yeah. So,
and you guys y'all got to be in a certain frame of mind in order to watch these, especially if you're a black person of color, because watching these movies is like watching like the scene in The Color Purple with when Oprah Winfrey's character, I can't remember the actual character name, gets attacked, or like watching Malcolm X. You just got to be in a certain frame of mind to watch these. It's honestly, these are like, you hate white people movies, but no, we don't hate white people, but it just makes you angry. You know what I mean? It really does. Because, and one of the reasons why I put these two together, because there were so many parallels. I watched these during my quarantine, and so they both came out in They both came out this year. They both came out on streaming platforms due to the pandemic. They both came out in February, Black History Month. They're both biopics, and they were historical black figures. And then they both had this underlining theme that is so current, you know, about the black people's relationship with the police. So these two people were well-known people. Fred Hampton from the Black Panther Party in Chicago during the 60s. And then, of course, Billie Holiday, who just sang a song about lynching and was completely just attacked and berated and bamboozled by the police. Both instances, the FBI were attacking these two people, all because they were being black, fighting against oppression, racism, and all the other stuff. And it's just basically, it's like we're doing it now. We're textbook examples of institutional racism. Yes, exactly. And so I was like, Whitney, we got to review both of them together because the parallels were just there, you know? And I was like, oh my God, the same thing happened in both. Like both movies depict how the FBI were behind both of these people, like attacking them. The government was actively attacking to bring these people down and kill Fred Hampton. They achieved that one. Yeah. But they were trying to take Billie Holiday down too. Yep. And they used vices, and they both implanted what would we call it, Whitney? Moles. Black moles within each group. Within each person, excuse me. Mole/informant. Well, an informant is a mole.
An informant, yes. Yeah. There was an informant, which is why they call it Judas and the Black Messiah for the Fred Hampton story. And we'll get into that later when we're talking about both, when we're talking about each individual film. And then the other one, the Billie Holiday, U.S. versus Billie Holiday showed, they also implanted a mole there too, to try and get information about her, to get her to try and lock her up.
More than one on Billie Holiday.
It's terrible. Like they would even use her ex-lovers and all that kind of stuff. It was just like, I was like, I can't believe this. Like I was looking at this and it just made you angry, of course, but then it just made you look like, why do they want to tear black people down so much? Like you're just looking at like, what is it that they sought to tear people down? Yeah. It was just, I don't know. It made me really think, and it made me like, the question I wanted to pose to you, Whitney, was like movies like this, and you understand what, like, a lot of black people right now, a lot of them don't really like to even celebrate like 4th of July. because of all the stuff that's been going on. And if you look at it, it's been going on for years. Yeah. But institutional racism is just becoming more and more clear to me with the research and stuff I've been doing too, because I've been reading some books on the side, as well as looking into what's going on in the world. And you're just like, you understand why people have these sentiments where it's like black people feel like they're a second-class citizen.
Right.
I mean, even on the show Blackish, I mean, it's a comedy show, but there was one episode where the mom was like, she was training her son, who ends up growing up to be the main the husband on the show. And she was like, yeah, just remember, America don't love you. And then they just did a bunch of clips of her telling him that from when he was a child. And they were talking about some political issue in the episode. But my take was that she was telling him that back in the 70s and 80s, but just remember, America don't love you. And I was just looking at it and I'm like, but I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it now. So my thing is, like, how can you feel patriotic when you're looking at all these things in all these ways? Like, I mean, even now in our government, like, they literally are trying to, because black people turned out so much and voted so well and switched Georgia, they're now, they doubled down on the racist voter suppression laws. Like, everyone's even like, this is stupid. You're really making it hard. You're making it a misdemeanor to not give people water who were standing in line for voting. That's real, Whitney.
To not give people water?
Yes. If you give somebody water who's waiting in line to vote, you can be charged with a misdemeanor crime.
Oh, okay, because you said it's a misdemeanor to not
Oh,
give
my bad
water.
if I didn't say it right. Okay. So, I mean, I just wanted to get your take on that.
I mean, yeah, I don't keep up with current events and stuff the way that
you
Bola
need
does.
to, but I got you.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, clearly institutional racism, like that's just trying to maintain, and I think it's really about power, about trying to maintain a status quo. There are certain people who fear people of color and black people especially, like, moving up in society, getting any type of greater power than what we currently have. And there are certain people who will do anything to keep that power, to keep the status quo, and will go so far as to assassinate people for it. And I would say that's another common thread between Fred Hampton and Billie Holiday. They literally assassinated Fred Hampton. Billie Holiday, she did herself in, but they weren't helping.
Yeah.
And, like, her efforts to, like, you know, get clean and stay clean and stuff, as depicted in the movie, you see that, like, they're trying to, like, plant stuff on her to make it look like, because based on the movie, she had, like, gotten clean for a while. I mean, she still had, you know, some hiccups. But, like, for the periods when she was doing well, they had people trying to, like, plant heroin on her, or I don't know if it was heroin necessarily. I just picked a drug.
Was the drug that she was doing.
Okay, yeah, and just it's disgusting.
And if you think about it, the time period that she was, it was way earlier than the 60s. The Fred Hampton biopic, hers takes place in, like, the 30s, 40s.
Yeah,
until she died. And so if you look at that time for black people, it was just the worst. Like, to be honest, it's like the only expression that black people she could actually come up with to express how horrifying the lynchings were was to make this song. And the song is terribly poetic, as in it depicts what you're seeing so beautifully, but it's so tragic at the same time. It's a disturbing song, tragic, but when she sings it's beautiful, but it's disturbing at the same time.
It is, and I think it touched people, and that's why it was so dangerous.
Yeah,
for the people in power who were afraid of her, because they're like, this is something that could change things. Like, it is connecting with people, like white and black audiences. Well, I think obviously black audiences, we know what our experiences are and can be. I mean, we don't always all necessarily have those experiences, but we know as a collective that that's what we can get. But, like, I feel like it reached across, like, you know, cultural barriers, and that's what made it dangerous to them in power, who were determined to suppress her, to shut her up.
Yeah, and in Judas and the Black Messiah, we didn't do any spoiler alerts because all this information is available for you to Google. But if you didn't watch the movie, please go and watch the movies.
Oh my God,
and then come
so
back
good.
And listen to us.
And just a little note to you guys, because Bola mentioned that they were available on streaming. The United States versus Billie Holiday is a Hulu original, so it is on Hulu, and I would imagine that it will be perpetually. And what's that word in
what?
It's a word that starts with I. It's like I in, like, basically it means without any known end.
Oh. Ceasing? Never ending? Ceasing? Never ceasing?
I can't remember.
Okay.
But I mean, they both mean the same thing. But I imagine it'll probably be in there,
for a
to
while.
infinity and beyond, because it's their original. So it's not like they're going to take off their original thing, I would think.
Mm-hmm. And it's a Lee Daniels directed film. If you know Lee Daniels, he made Precious and Empire. And he made this one too, and I was
didn't
glad.
realize that he had done Precious.
Yep, he did Precious.
Okay,
but it stars Audra Day, who's phenomenal.
She is like okay. So I'm gonna get into just one thing. I gave the United States versus Billie Holiday a 7 out of 10, and I gave Judas and the Black Messiah a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
And I was talking to my mom about this yesterday, and my mom hasn't seen Judas and the Black Messiah, but she's seen the United States versus Billie Holiday. She was like, it was excellent. I'm like, yeah, I think they're both great, but I think Judas and the Black Messiah was excellent.
It was a better film.
And she was like, well, why did you think that? And I was struggling to communicate why, and I told her maybe if I had watched the United States versus Billie Holiday first, or maybe not in conjunction with the other one, maybe it would have gotten higher, but because I had seen Judas and the Black Messiah, it's just such a high bar.
Yeah, it's a very good film. They're both really good films to me.
They're both really good, but I think for me, the thing is that I connected more to Fred Hampton because of who he was and was portrayed as in the movie. He was militant, but he was about his community. He was all about his community.
Mm-hmm.
And he went across the lines. I mean, he had the freaking, what are they called? The Lords of Patriotism or something.
You're talking about the Rainbow Coalition?
Yeah, which was made up of the Crowns, of a gang.
A lot of gangs, a lot of different gangs in Chicago at the time.
And then they had this Southern redneck gang.
Yeah.
And then this Puerto Rican gang. So that was very much it takes a very special type of person to be able to pull together these very, very different groups.
He was very special. And what was sad about it when I was researching, after watching that film, I looked into him really well because I had never heard of him. And I had never heard
I think heard of him, but I'm not really familiar with any type of Black Panther.
I haven't watched a Black Panther movie.
The Marvel Black Panther.
We love that one.
Yeah.
But I never watched a Black Panther movie about the Black Panthers.
Yeah, me
themselves and what they're about.
The most I had ever really seen about the Black Panthers was in Forrest Gump.
And I don't even remember that. But I hadn't
Jenny
seen...
was hanging out with them.
Oh, okay. I hadn't seen anything depicted that was just about the Black Panthers, but who they were about, what they were about. I mean, what they were about and who they really were. And so...
this was specifically about the Illinois chapter, so
yeah,
I guess it
more.
could be different across the different chapters, but his particular chapter, when he was leading it, and you saw that once he was not leading it, stuff kind of fell apart a little. Well,
yeah,
definitely fell apart.
Yeah, and they planted that mess. They made sure he went to jail for no reason, too.
Yeah, but, I really connected with how much he cared about his community. And, the parallels between him and Jesus, that's another thing. I really loved the title, Judas and the Black Messiah, because it was perfect. You can draw such clear parallels.
Judas and the Black Messiah. You said Jesus and the Black Messiah.
Oh, crap.
It's okay. I got you.
And the Black Messiah, because you can draw such clear parallels between Jesus and Fred Hampton, both of which were really concerned about their communities, and then about just communities overall, because Fred Hampton didn't he was about Black empowerment, but he didn't limit it to that. He was focused on Black empowerment, but he was the government is not doing any of us very good, and brought together the Rainbow Coalition. And then you've got Bill O'Neill, who is the
antithesis.
Exactly, who is a direct parallel to Judas, up to the fact that both of them betrayed the messiahs in the case of the Bible, Jesus, and in the case of this movie, Fred Hampton, who's the Black Messiah, and up to the point that both of them got paid for their betrayal.
Yes.
And down to the fact that both of them committed suicide, likely because of their guilt over their betrayal of these
But what was different to me was that after he did this thing, and he was, my thing is, he walked with the man. Well, just like Judas walked with Jesus, he witnessed everything. He was doing everything he was about. He saw the real deal, yet didn't care. He was still about, I'm just about number one. I'm about me. I'm gonna get this money and this gas station, $300. I'm like, really? You just have to look at it. And I remember when I saw $300 in a rinky-dink gas station, I was like, 12 pieces of silver. That's exactly what I said when I was watching it. Because I was like, you mapped out this man's house for them, apartment, for them, so that they could really know where he was and get him. Mm-hmm. That's rough.
That's cold.
That's cold hard, and didn't care. And then my thing is, he apparently still was an informant even some years after Fred Hampton was killed. And then it was only like in his 40s that he did that interview that Lakeith Stanfield plays Will O'Neill, actually. And he did a good job trying to, I guess, create some empathy for him, the struggle. But I was like, nah, this character, nah. I was like, nah, he's just bad. And he was in a hard rock in a hard place. And I was like, no, he knew better. He could have totally changed his mind, but no, it was all about him and what he was doing. But the real Will O'Neill, I was like, I don't know why he did the interview. And then it was like right after the interview, he killed himself. Mm-hmm. But he was still an informant even after Fred Hampton died and was actually feeding the government.
Years after that. Yeah, because I read that too about how he did the interview, but the interview came out. So he did the interview. He didn't kill himself on the day of the interview. From what I understand, the interview premiered on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and that was the same day that he killed himself. Mm-hmm. And
maybe he felt the guilt later. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly later. I mean, I guess stuff had just been building up for him, across it. But I think that's why I rated it so much higher, because he was watching the movie, he's such an inspiring figure.
Yes,
Hampton,
if you saw his voice and the clips that still exist of him speaking and stuff, Daniel Kaluuya, I have to give him props, because
oh my gosh, yeah,
his performance to me was amazing. He completely transformed himself. I didn't recognize his voice. He really tried to embody this person. Even in the part in the end where they were all trying to actually save Fred Hampton, and Fred Hampton was like, is this about me or the people? If they're going to try and kill me, they're going to try and kill me. That's it. We need to be thinking about, hey, we need to set up this medical clinic. Let's focus on that.
Yeah.
And that's something that Jesus would do, too. He's like, It's not about, we're focusing on what my father's business, as he was saying.
Yes.
So you're right, Whitney. He was always about that mission. And that's the thing. He was a visionary. But if you notice throughout history, all of the visionaries, especially for the black people, they knew how great these people were. They knew that these people could incite change, and they snuffed them out accordingly. Mm-hmm. Every single one. I'm imagining right now, he was only 21 when he died.
Oh my God, yeah, I read that. I was like, oh my God.
He was empowered, impactful so soon in life.
Accomplished at 21. It is crazy.
Feeding the free food, the free breakfast program, which actually had implications, and it actually made people make free food programs, inspired that in the community for the schools, which I didn't know too, because they had already started that. There was no free breakfast around that time. They started that, and then that had gone into the schools later on. And I was like, that was awesome. He got people together. That's the thing. He wasn't just thinking about black people only.
Yeah.
He was just thinking about what is our main enemy? The oppressive state, the police officers, that kind of stuff. He's like, they're not looking out for us, but we need to be looking out for each other.
Yeah.
And for him to even make the Rainbow Coalition, it was ahead of his time. It really was. And they were scared of that. They were like, we can't have these people getting up, because here's something I wanted to bring up, because I'm reading this book called The Sum of Us: What Racism Costs Everyone and How We Can Prosper Together. It's by Heather McGee, who's worked in economics and in the world of NGOs and all that kind of stuff. And she wrote a book because she was like, why can't America have nice things? Why can't we have these things? Why is America so stingy with this stuff? And then she looked at in America how racism is the bedrock of everything, and how it's in everything. You know what I mean? And so she realized that people don't even realize it, but racism costs white people as much as it costs white people just like it costs black people. Because of racist policies and things. They would here's an example that she put in the book: swimming pools. How there's really no public pools. there really aren't any public pools.
Oh yeah, you got to be like a member of
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But in the past there were, but because of forced integration and everything, and she said America. I'm listening to the book on Audible right now, and I was just like, she was just bringing in this idea about how instead of just integrating when the laws changed for integration to happen, riots, beatings, stabbings, everything came up, closing down America, especially the white America. They decided to, instead of integrating and let us all enjoy the pool, we are going to fill the pool with cement and shut it down. Nobody's enjoying the pools. And she said that happened everywhere in America. America used to have beautiful pools, but they covered them up. They locked them, all because they didn't want to integrate. All because they didn't. And I'm like,
cut off your nose to spite your face.
They actually cost white people the pools too. And you're just like, racism is not only costing us, like, it's costing America in general. Because of racist policy, we can't be the America we really should be. We shouldn't have all these issues. We can't have healthcare. We have the money to do everything. But because of racist policy, then who wants to be on top? She talks about this zero-sum rule that that white people feel like at the expense of others, it has to be all or nothing. So for them to maintain that power, there has to be zero sum. They have to have the power, and it has to be at the cost of suppressing and oppressing other races. But because of that mentality, she's like, well, that mentality is what's really feeding racism, that greed, that wanting to keep the power balance, that they justified with morals and all this fake stuff. They justified the horrible treatment of other people. And it's in everything we do. And that's what was happening. Even the government was doing that to both of these people. They were doing horrible stuff. They didn't mind planting these fake people in here, planting these drugs on her, doing this just to suppress, because they were worried about equality in this nation. Because they've never meant this nation to be equal. I feel bad because I took AP government, and I always was like, yeah, I'm American history, politics, I'm understanding. I was just like, man, I was just feeling patriotic at that time. I was in high school, y'all. Anyway, I was like 17.
I was not at all interested in AP history.
But I was interested
not
in
history. Actually, I liked history, but I wanted, I was interested in ancient cultures. Like, when it came to U.S. government, I took that mess in summer school, so I would not have to spend too much time.
I was into all that stuff. I was like into it was the idealism that captured me. But now, as a grown-up person, looking back, I was just like, these white dudes never meant for this to be for us. This document that they are so, I'm not gonna lie, we're a little cuckolded by it. We're like the only nation that uses such an ancient document without amending it appropriately for the times. And I was like, they never meant this document for me. When I realized that, they never meant this document for anyone who wasn't a rich white person. They even made sure that poor white people were oppressed as well, so that the main people can keep themselves in power. And you see the repercussions of it everywhere. And so I do recommend you guys read that book. Get it if you can.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. We'll put an Audible.
It's so
link.
Interesting to think about that. And you're like, and I see it playing out in this film too, that Fred Hampton was thinking about making a better America for everybody. For him to go across to the racist line, he was like, y'all are poor whites. They doing the same thing to y'all as they doing to us. Join me together. Like, there was never that kind of unity before. And it scared them because why? The power balance.
Yep.
It's the zero sum. It's, we have to keep our power, to keep what we have. We have to keep all these other places down, these other groups down. And I was just like, it's so insidious. It's so terrible. And it prevents America from being the America it needs to be.
Good word for it, insidious.
Yeah. I don't know, Whitney, that really messed me. That wrecked me a little bit. I was just like,
yeah, I mean, it's really heavy. It's heavy stuff. It's important stuff to see because, like you said, like, these aren't the types of things that we really get into, like, in the American, like, public school system.
Yes,
like,
girl,
we watch
speak
things
it.
Like, I mean, we're gonna at this season we're also gonna talk about, like, Watchmen, which is another one that gets into some stuff from American history with, like, Black Wall Street and stuff that I never
heard about it in school. Never heard about it.
Series where they depict it, and it's like, this happened. Like, yeah, this for real actually happened.
You only knew about it if you lived in if your parents were like really into Black history, or you lived in Tulsa, right? Because I was like, how come I never?
How come we never heard about them?
Yes, a lot of, honestly, even the Fred Hampton. I never heard about Fred Hampton. And I mean, I heard Billie Holiday was a singer and stuff, but her song was like the beginning. She was like one of the predecessors of civil rights because she refused to stop singing that song, and they target her. And it was just a song, and she did it because she was
that's the thing. I think it's not. I don't think it's appropriate to say it's just a song.
It was a catalyst.
It's to say something is just a song. Words can do so. Words are
You're
powerful.
You're right.
So nothing is like just a song, or it's just words, or sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is so wrong. Words are so incredibly powerful. They're probably one of the most powerful things.
Yeah, I don't know who came with that whole phrase, but they were wrong. Sticks and stones can break your bones. No, they were wrong. They got hurt by some words and hit to make some other stuff up. Because, I mean, the words are like knives to your body. Words are powerful. If you speak stuff out,
if you're
you can speak things into existence. Yeah, exactly.
If you're a person of faith, you know that the word became flesh. The word is how everything came to be if you're a person of faith. So that tells you how powerful word is.
I used that whole thing for my communications intro to grad school. That very thing you're talking about how because I had gone to Liberty, I was going over there, so I needed to write my paper for my application, and I talked about, and I was getting into the communication program, and I talked about that because they wanted some biblical reference.
Okay,
and I was just like, oh yeah, I can talk about how the communication became life, became existence. You know what I mean? So you're right. And words speak things. Like my mom, in African culture, especially Nigerian culture, words are so, like, naming things and words are so strong. Like, my mom always gets mad at me, my sister, if we fight and just, like, we throw in words. She's just like, in our culture, you're not supposed to do that because you speak things out. It happens. They believe that. And it's true. You see it sometimes, too. And I was like, okay, I had to, like, but me and my sister just fight. It's just, we're siblings, whatever. But it's so important. Like, my mom's just like, you don't waste words. You don't waste words. Like, even saying certain things, you can't even suggest. You know how we will in America would be like, oh, you're crazy. If you say that to a Nigerian, it's like, what? What did you say? I'm crazy? You haven't seen crazy yet, and they'll be like, no, it's just slang. It's
a
just
whole me?
A whole me. Crazy? You haven't seen crazy yet. Yeah, so they get hype over small. You can't just be saying anything anyhow,
But that like brings into something to combat the sticks and stones thing. Something that I do think is a very apropos is the pen is mightier than the sword. Now that I think is very true.
In what way?
Words are just more powerful.
Oh, you mean because you said the pen? So I was thinking you're talking about like writing.
Than the sword. It's a saying, but it's basically like a metaphor.
Okay.
But
I got you. Yeah. So let's get into like the specifics about Judas and the Black Messiah first, and then we'll go into the other movie.
Okay.
So this one was directed by Shaka King. I don't know. I'm not familiar with his work.
Neither am I.
But this is like the first thing I've watched with him. I think he also helped write the script too.
Okay.
And then the person who played Fred Hampton was our British bloke. Daniel Kaluuya, he was also in Black Panther, as you know, even though his character sucked in Black Panther. But he was also from Get Out, yeah.
Yes.
And a lot of other stuff. Like, he's been, like, I swear, like, almost every movie he does, it's, like, on the Oscar, the award season. Like, he just comes up. And he won a Golden Globe already for this role. They muted him, too. He was on Saturday Night Live for Easter, and he made sure he talked about that. He showed the clip of how he was giving his acceptance speech, and he was on mute. And he's like, look what they did to me, y'all. Look at it. Oh, wait, I have a probing question, Whitney. Okay, so let's discuss this real quick. So one of the things that came up with this movie was the fact that he was not American. So Daniel Kaluuya is a Londoner. He's from England. He's Ugandan, but he's like Ugandan, but just like how I was born here in America, but my family directly from Nigeria.
I saw something from, what's his name, who plays the Falcon?
Yeah, Anthony Mackie. I saw the same interview.
About how like all these British actors get all these opportunities in America, but they don't get the same opportunities in the UK.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that because I'm not gonna lie. I have a friend. I love you, Chad, but I'm gonna bust you out. She was saying how we were talking about this film, and she says she didn't like it because she didn't like his portrayal. And I was like, what is this? She's
what
like,
didn't she like about his portrayal?
she just didn't like how he did it. She didn't think he sounded right. And that's a criticism I've been seeing. So much so, people have been talking about how they like an American should have done this. So much so that in his Saturday Night Live monologue, he pointed that out. He's like, I'm a black guy, and I'm a Brit as well, just so y'all know, because it was a thing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but his performance was great. Mm-hmm. What is the problem if he's British? But then I saw some stuff on Instagram where I'm not gonna lie, I looked at a lot of the main people that have played Black Americans in film. Mm-hmm. So many of them are British. So many people, you get surprised until after the fact that you find out.
Because to be honest, it was not until this year, until 2021, that I even knew that Daniel Kaluuya was British.
You didn't know?
I didn't know because I had never heard him speak until I saw him on the Golden
I watch
Globes.
Interviews, that's why.
Oh, okay.
So
well,
I
that's
knew
the first time I had heard him speak outside of a movie. So like, me, I'm like, well, he was convincing because I thought he was American.
Yep. And they do them so, and you have to look at Selma, was played by David Oyelowo, another Nigerian, but he did Martin Luther King in Selma, and he's a Brit. Duke of Hastings, well, no, that's a British show. What's another example? There was a guy that played Firestorm on DC Legends of Tomorrow.
He's British?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
My God, I was surprised. And then even the show, the football show on the CW right now too, All American, the main black lead is British. I was so shocked right now. I was like, wow. What? Then the guy on Shy, I think, is also British as well. And I was just like, I looked at it and I was like, okay, because I can see it. Idris Elba too.
I read Anthony Mackie's thing and he's like, well, why can't we go over there and do it like they do? Like he was saying something about like they do a horrible American accent. Why can't we go over there and do like a bad British accent?
But they don't though.
But exactly, and that's my point. Like I had no idea, and I feel like probably maybe I don't know. I can't say for sure.
I mean,
but like, how much effort do you put into like vocal training in order to get the British training?
They do dialect training and coaching.
Well, I'm saying like on the opposite side to get like a good British accent down, because these other people like the Brits,
I can do it all day, and not the governor kind. I can just talk like a regular person, you know. There you go.
Yeah, but like, how much effort are you putting in order to get this role? Are you putting enough effort into like analyzing different ones to find what is going to be the best British accent? Because there's not just one.
You know what I think the issue is?
What's that?
Well, I think for England, for me, I feel like a lot of them come over here to get roles because there's so many more available. Because one, America is the home of Hollywood.
Larger than
we have
British.
More stories to project. Like even Stacey Orivo, who played Harriet Tubman, she's a Brit.
Oh yeah, I love her.
The casino movie,
I mean, it wasn't
Hard Times of what was it called?
Bad Times at the El Royale.
That's what it was. Sorry, I was confusing it. But yeah, she's a Brit and she played a American hero. You know, so to me, I think it's just the availability of stuff. Like if you look at it, a lot of white people can just I'm not gonna England. They produce mostly like period dramas. I mean, they have some regular shows, but not that much. So I feel like they just have a dearth of roles for them, so that they come over here and do stuff. Or maybe our history, our country, our culture is so much more interesting, you know? And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of Africans didn't get mad when they saw Chadwick playing Africans, like an African person, or Eddie Murphy playing an African person. They were just like, he did a good job. Like he practiced. He sounded like Mandela. He did what he had to do.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. Forrest Whitaker really did not do what he had to do because his accent was terrible. However, a lot of Africans weren't like that. Like, I mean, sure they would be like, let us do more of our own roles.
Yeah,
but this whole thing with the British, I mean, I was just like, why is this an issue?
I feel the same way. I feel like to me, it's not the same issue because we've got. America's film industry and television industry is so much larger. Like we put out so much more stuff. So there's more stuff over here. So of course, like the British black actors are going to come over here, and like white actors, any type of actors, going to come
Hollywood.
over here because we've got so much stuff that we put out.
Yes.
Versus, I mean, the population of the UK is also a lot smaller, so it's just not as much.
I bet all the competition for roles, like the few black roles that they have. We talk about black people not having roles. Look, I bet they have even fewer black roles. You know, like honestly, what Shonda did with Bridgerton, having so many people of color in a period piece, like that's not her. I watch British period pieces, and they're usually always white, always. And if there's a black person in there, she's a slave or something, or they're doing something new with the story. But always,
Speaking
they're
of,
always white.
Let me just interject. I haven't looked into it a lot, but I saw like so there's a prequel to The Witcher that Netflix was making, and at first they had like a character, they had like cast this role, and recently the role, the person who was gonna play in the role, she's from Queen and Slim.
Mm-hmm. Is she British too?
I don't know if she's British or not,
Okay.
but she's like this dark-skinned black lady, beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
and she's in Queen and Slim, and I can't remember what the other role is that she might be well known for. She's married to Joshua somebody from like from Fringe.
Oh, I don't know what that show is.
Oh, okay, it's a good show. You should watch it. But anyway, she's like not playing the part anymore because like The Witcher hit a bunch of delays for the second season because of COVID, and as a result of that, I guess they also encountered like delays for the prequel series, and because of that, she had a scheduling conflict, so she couldn't play whatever this role is. I have no idea where I was going with that, y'all. I completely lost my train of thought.
I was like, yeah, where are you going with this?
Oh, I remember. Okay. Picked it up again. Dropped it, but I picked it up
got
again.
it. Pick it back up.
So, they're making an ant, like, I don't know if it's called Anne Boleyn or if it's called something else, but they're making a movie and they're having Anne Boleyn played by her.
A black person?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Hey, the world is
so
changing.
I was like, this is interesting. Like, what's okay.
That's kind of why I loved Bridgerton so much. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but it's like, it's that setting, because it's like we would like to get to a place in the world where people can just be people regardless of skin color. I wish we could just get over it, but it's so much attached to the skin color, the difference. It's honestly, it's the ideal of racism that it can't be. That's the thing that we've got to kill. The ideals of it, the idea, because it keeps living and it keeps being reborn. But what I like what Shonda did was that this was a British setting where it's normally all white, but it's like, I don't care. These actors are people. They're portraying other people. Because it's historical context, you're just like, what happened? So they did explain why there's black people and other people of color around. I'm not going to get into that. But for me to watch somebody who's seen British period pieces and have never seen people of color in them ever, unless they were slaves or servants, I was just like, this is how it should be. These are actors. It doesn't matter what color their skin is or what race or ethnicity. They're playing a character. Why can't this character be black? Why can't this character be Asian? Why can't this character be a mixed person? So that's kind of why the brilliance of what Shonda did. And it's a very good show, honestly. It really is. But that part of it really, like, yeah, I wish we can get to this point where we don't have to. Because if you look at it, for a lot of Hollywood, white movies, they've been made where white people can just exchange characters and just be whatever they want. But if you're any other color, you have to be thought about before you can be like this character. For them, it's like, oh, like just like with how everyone's like, Idris Elba should have been the next black Bond, and the author of the Bond movie books or whatever, he was like, he's a little too urban to play that, and it was such a controversy, and people are like, why can't it? It's because white people can just exchange and be whatever they want, but anyone else of color, it can't be. We can't play that character. I'm like, it's a character. So in a different time he can't be black, in a different time he can't be Asian, and dapper and debonair. Come on. So,
and come on now, Idris Elba is like the definition of debonair.
I'm sorry, he's not on my list. Okay, I'm tired. We need some new folks. Okay, let's get some
Rege-Jean
Paul, some Winston Duke.
Debonair.
So what is Denzel Washington's son's name?
John David Washington.
Yes, let's put some new ones on the list. Okay, I'm tired of Idris. Okay, I love you, but you old now. You bye.
Idris has never been on my list, but he's cool. I mean, I had that thing against him about what I heard. Now, granted, it might not have been right, but about him dumping.
You just said a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm like, why? Let's get back to the film anyway.
Yeah.
Daniel Kaluuya, I have no problem. I thought he transformed himself completely.
Yeah,
and
he went to his body because, like, you look at him
he's
and get
thicker
out.
now. I was loving it. I was
he was a big thickum in this one.
Daniel, you getting extra
He
chocolate.
was a Brit. Bum 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 house.
Can we sing this about men?
Bum,
Yes.
He's mighty, just letting it all hang out.
He was amazing.
Take it down now.
Chicken down. Okay. So he was amazing to me.
Yeah,
I just thought his portrayal, when he spoke, I was just
to
so
one thing
engrossed.
that I was like confused about, because I saw that for like the Oscars, that both Daniel Kaluuya and also Lakeith Stanfield are up for Best Supporting Actor, and I'm like, but why is neither of them? Why are they not in the lead actor?
Are you serious? I did not see the Oscar list. So are you serious?
Yeah,
he's not up for main actor. Like,
yeah, it was about him. Actor. That's what I thought too. But I don't know.
That's BS.
But also, to my understanding, I think you submit to what category you're in, if I'm not mistaken.
He got Best Main Actor in the Golden Globes, and he won.
What was it? Best lead actor, or was it supporting actor? Because I thought when I was looking it up on IMDb that it was for Best Supporting Actor, but I'm not sure. But in any case, for the Oscars, both him and Lakeith Stanfield are up for Best Supporting Actor, and I was confused by that because I'm like, to me, well, honestly, it's a little bit hard to say which one of them is the lead. So maybe that's why it's supporting actor, because like they're co-leads almost. But I would still think if you're co-lead, you would just both be in the lead actor category.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
So that
you're right. I have to do a retraction. He is up for Best Supporting Actor. Maybe then it's perhaps because they see them both on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because the movie, honestly, okay. So the movie is just as much about Fred Hampton as it is about
Bill O'Neill.
Bill O'Neill.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Lakeith Stanfield is a very interesting, unique actor. I do like his acting very much. He's kind of weird to me as a person. He is. He's just a weird person, but I respect him for his work. But
I like that one of the first scenes that he was inside the Black Panther Party, where they were talking about, like warfare and stuff. And he's like, "Or do you need rocket launch?" And he's like, "You think it's got rocket launcher?"
Yes, because you have to remember that he was undercover the whole time. And you know what's interesting? Somebody had said, because I had watched some interviews or something, and somebody had said that if you look at Bill O'Neill, like the Black Panther Party, their ideals and everything, they were never his ideals. Mm-hmm. And he claims that that was just never him. That was not what he was about. I don't know if he didn't care, but it was just like he did not share their ideals. Mm. So he was in there pretending to get this information to keep himself out of jail. Mm-hmm. But it was like he wasn't down really with what they were doing. He just had to like make face, you know? So I just thought that was interesting to point out that, okay, I guess if you're not down with their ideals, it's easy for you to turn on them like that. I just assumed that with exposure and being near somebody like him, it would rub off, but it didn't. He betrayed like nobody's business.
It rubbed off enough for him to years later feel enough guilt too.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Maybe he always felt the guilt. Because it caused such an uprising in Chicago at that time. Yeah. But they suppressed it. They made it. And let's talk about what the FBI did. So...
Oh, yeah. The fact that they called it a justifiable homicide, despite the fact that there were... I read like now, granted, this was Wikipedia, not an actual article, but that there were 99 shots fired off by like the FBI or the police department, whoever it was that breached.
It like crazy.
And there was only one shot gotten off by the Black Panthers, and it was like the shot from the shotgun as the guy was dying, because they shot him so many times.
They blazed up that apartment to even like I heard that even the next apartments. Honestly, what's the girl's name? Breonna Taylor situation happened because there was just shells everywhere, bullets everywhere, and it went through even to the next door neighbor's apartments and killed all those people. And they they spun it.
From what I understand, it only killed 2.
In Breonna Taylor's situation, or
I'm talking about for Fred Hampton. They killed Fred Hampton.
I thought more people died than 2. Was it only 2?
Yeah, that's from what I understand. There was the guy who was at the front door, who I forget what his name is.
Everybody was injured.
There was Fred Hampton, and
everyone was injured.
Seriously injured.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, but then you look at how they spun it. They spun it to make sure they looked good for what they were doing. Like this was a no-knock warrant type of thing. They were they just came up in there blazing whatever.
Yeah. And the family
it was justified.
Sued, and the criminal charges, it got they didn't win their suit, but they did win a civil suit.
Probably
against
years later.
The FBI and the district attorney's office, and it took like
J.
years,
Edgar
like
Hoover.
7 years. Yeah, freaking J. Edgar Hoover.
He was such a
son of
horrible person. Horrible person.
That was the common thread to
God.
me between these two movies was that J. Edgar Hoover is an evil son of a bitch.
Yes, he is. He is. He was behind everything. A lot of the assassinating of black people because he's like, we cannot have them be, we cannot have them come up, and it's all that negativity, that hatred, and I'm just like, there was a black guy that was, during the whole black George Floyd thing, there was a black guy that was speaking out about this. He's running for office now. I'm so mad I couldn't find the video to get his actual name, but he's running for office now because he so passionately gave a speech in front of his local elected officials about what's going on in their community as a black person. And then he gave a speech about how he said, one of the things that I pointed out to that stuck with me was that he said, if you look at history, he's like, there's countless times, one after the other, of how every time a black person is trying to move up or move forward, there is a white man standing in his way, pushing him back. And I was just like, it's so true. It's unfortunately, it's so true. And then like, look at these two. She could have we're not getting into her yet, but we're not getting into Billie yet, but he was doing his thing. Yeah. He was helping. He was doing good, but they never mentioned those things. They didn't play that up. They were just painting him as a criminal, a terrorist, a thug, or whatever. Even with the shot, they lied and say that they shot more than, that the Black Panther shot more than they did. And I'm just like, are you serious?
And the article that I was reading in Wikipedia was talking about that, like, modern day scholars actually now consider it to be an assassination.
Yes, it was. I'm sorry. I'm looking at it, and it was planned out, mapped out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm sorry. They planned that mess. You plant informants, and then you get them to make a blueprint of the place so you can know exactly where you're going to kill him.
And get them to give him a sedative.
Yes. Yes. And the black dude that helped him get the sedative, I was just like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this too? Anyway, Lil Ray Howard, big up to him. I think he's funny. But he played another, son of a you-know-what mold that gave Lakeith Stanfield's character, Bill O'Neill, the sedative. Now, we don't know if that's what happened in real life, but just the portrayal of that. I was just like, another black man giving... They couldn't even, grace him with some white person giving it to... They're like, let's send another black person to talk to him. And they did the same thing in they wanted to accomplish this, but they knew they couldn't, so they had to get black people to do this. They had to do the same thing for Billie Holiday. Let's take her down with one of her own, and that's so terrible.
And I just getting into what made this movie so great was that it had really great performances.
Yes, good music too.
Oh yeah,
oh my god, her.
And it was very human portraials.
Yes,
I mean they showed that that some of these people were very militant, and the guy that got killed by the power station, they were, they showed how when Fred Hampton was talking to his mother, she was like, he was like, very gentle, but now everyone, people are only going to know him for this. She was like, I'm not disputing that he killed someone in cold blood, but she was like, but that's not the only thing he did.
Exactly.
And now this is going to be the only thing that people remember about him.
And how many black people has that happened to in the past? How many? So many black people were painted as this and that and the third. We're still painted as this and that and the third. That's why we can't go. Can you imagine the girl who did the poem at the inauguration of Biden? Her name is Amanda Gorman. She became hugely famous. Her wonderful poetry. She's a wonderful poet anyway. But she delivered a poem there. She delivered a poem for the Super Bowl. Yet later on, while she was walking to her own apartment, mind you, someone thought she looked suspicious and was following her to her door. And she tweeted out about it. And she was just like, Black in America. And I was like, she was famous now. How can she's a small stature. She's walking to the guy who just didn't believe she belonged there, or someone reported that she looked suspicious, and she was literally followed. The person didn't go away until they saw her take her key out and open the front door and go inside. And I was like, this is America. She's painted as suspicious because they didn't think she belonged where she was.
Wow. Which, by the way, reminds me, Bola, when you're doing the show notes, make sure to put a note to link up "This Is America."
Yes,
in here,
the song.
Yes, it's the so Childish Gambino song, because this is very apropos for this episode.
And I mean, I think it's great because Daniel Kaluuya did so much research. He came to Chicago. He actually talked to Fred Hampton's son, who I think is so sad. He literally was robbed of being of his father. He was Dominique Fishback, who plays her, what was her name? Oh Lord, I'm so mad because I wanted to be up for the girls. I forgot his mother's name.
Oh my God, Judy, I think her name was Judy. I was really connected.
She
with
changed her name
character.
later on, I think.
Yeah, but the character Judy in there, the one who was in like the standoff with the police, like with the shootout and stuff. She was like,
that's not the same person I'm talking about though.
It's not, but I'm just saying that she was like awesome.
She was. She kicked ass.
She did. Yeah, she did.
But I'm so mad. I forgot her name. But anyway,
something with a G, not Gladys. Gloria,
yes,
not
Gloria.
Gloria.
No.
Oh man,
I'm feeling bad for this. Sorry, girl. Dominique, I'm sorry, but you did a great job.
I
could look it up real
IMDb,
quick.
Yeah, but that.
But she did such a good job portraying. But she was literally going to have her. She had her baby. If you're looking at the real person that was supposed to be his wife, Fred Hampton's wife, she literally had her baby like a week or so after the killing, and you're just like,
and like
he was robbed of that.
Yeah, her portrayal of that character was so good. Like the scene where they take her at demand she comes out of the room, and Fred Hampton is still like sleeping because they
Deborah
gave
Johnson.
him
Deborah Johnson, yes,
because they gave him the sedative so he didn't get up. And when the police go in there and you just hear 2 gunshots and then hear somebody say he's good and dead now, you like it's a close up of her face, and she doesn't cry. She's just like stoic because it's like she was expecting this. She's like, this is not a surprise to me. Like I knew that they wanted him dead, but it was powerful.
And earlier in the scenes when he did his great speech, she could tell that I like how they zeroed in on her when he was talking about whether he had to die or not for the cause, and like that was fine with him. And she was just like, well, now I'm pregnant. I have another life to think about. This is scary to me. And I like how they zeroed in on that, because I'm sure she was thinking about that, because look, what happened eventually did happen. Her biggest fear did happen. They targeted him so much that they went after him and killed him. And it was just, she did such a wonderful job. Everyone did a great job. I'm not gonna lie. Let for real quick, for Lakeith Stanfield, even though I don't have any sympathy for Bill O'Neill as a character and the person, but Lakeith, maybe it has to do with the writing and how they did the writing for this. But Lakeith brought something about his acting style. You feel for him. This is his face. Yeah. It's like that sad face that you just empathize for him or something. But he actually made you witness the struggle the man was going through, because it seems like to betray these people, they're your own people, your own colored people, because and
I feel like he did. I feel like by that time he really was like drinking the Kool-Aid, that he really believed in a lot of the stuff.
Who was drinking what Kool-Aid? Who are you talking about?
Bill O'Neill. Based on the portrayal in the movie, like I feel like he was feeling like the things that they were like, preaching and stuff.
But he got spooked when they were talking about how they tortured and murdered another mole.
Yeah. But I feel like, at that point, he was on board. He was like, yeah, I believe this stuff now. Like, I believe their message. I believe in it.
I'm not
but
sure.
But I agree with you. Like, he was like, but I can't, I can't go to jail. He was like, I just can't.
He was self-preserving.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised. And he's the opposite of Fred Hampton.
I'm not even gonna, I mean, I kind of judge him for it. But, but I mean, like, when you think about it, if you were in the same situation, what would you actually do, though? We got to, like, really think about that.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't betray my people, my colored people.
I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if you were in the situation, like, you were, I would hope that I would not have done that.
I would have asked for something else. But
who knows? Who actually knows? Being in that same situation, what you would have done.
Yeah.
I did want to get into
overall, the movie was really good.
Yeah,
oh,
like
go
I
ahead,
said,
Whitney.
I gave it a 10 out of 10. But
10 out of 10 glasses, y'all. Beep, 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 and a high recommendation of please watch. Yeah. You really need to watch it.
It's no longer on HBO Max, by the way, you guys. It was on there only briefly. I know
Red
this
box it.
Yeah, I know this because since we had to watch it for today's episode, I did not watch it beforehand, and I was like, oh no, it's not on HBO Max, so I had to show out some actual monies.
Oh my god. Whitney, it was on there. You just took forever to watch.
Yeah.
You just put yourself out there like that. You really did.
Yeah. Procrastination, y'all. This is what it gets.
But
you.
It was worth it.
It was worth it.
It was worth it.
It was certainly worth it. But like, I want to just like talk about some of my favorite parts during the movie. They had some like great quotes and stuff. Like the one near the it was early in the movie too, when he's like in this almost looks like a classroom with like members of the Black Panther.
Mm-hmm. He's such a good orator.
Yeah,
orator.
And he said war. No, and he was actually quoting someone else. I think he said Mao, who I'm not familiar with, but he said
Chairman Mao, the communist.
Oh, okay.
From China.
Okay, he said war is politics with bloodshed, and politics is war without bloodshed.
Yeah, I really like that line too. I was like, so true.
That's good.
It's so true.
That is good.
It's good.
And I just thought, it was all very human, and I liked that Fred Hampton was depicted as a feminist.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when you watch it, like that scene still in the classroom, just a little bit later on, but you see that he believes that women are just as capable and as important as men in the Black Panther Party. Because you saw him like when Bill O'Neill was talking to another woman during that like the class, he was like, do not take liberties with women. He's like, these are not just your sisters, these are your sisters in arms. And you've got the character, I think Judy was her name, and she's like a captain. So women were just as like
integral.
Exactly.
Just like now, Black women are just as integral.
Yes,
and making things happen. Okay, big up to Stacey Abrams. I love her.
Oh yeah, Stacey Abrams, I love you.
Michelle Obama, we love you.
Yeah. But like, I just loved that. I just loved that he was just really about his community.
He
and
really
was
respected people.
Yes.
Honestly, they knew the light. When the light is too bright and they can't take it, they try to snuff it out. And they really saw that. Like, I was thinking when I watched this, I was like, imagine how Chicago would be now if this brother stayed and was able to continue what he was doing. Like, I mean, you can't get rival gangs together, but he did somehow.
Yes.
That big scene where he gave that big speech, my God.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And I was just looking at him like...
It is like crazy.
And that's what scared them.
That type of influence scared them.
And that with the white police officer, the FBI agent that was
Roy or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It was so interesting watching that scene where Lakeith was looking at him, but also having to be like powered. And then the guy was like, "Are you sure you don't believe in this, dude? Are you sure you're not, drinking the Kool-Aid, falling for it?" It's such a tense scene. Yeah. You're trying to enjoy what he's saying, but then you look at that tension that's like, it's still there. I thought it was done very well by the directors and the cinematographers, everyone. I was like, you could just see the tension there. It was so interesting. They're like, you have a job to do. You know what you're here for. Are you going to do the deed? Yeah, but what else did you notice?
Just like, I think that's kind of like almost near the end of like my thoughts on the movie. Just like this institutional racism, because you see like Fred Hampton had lost his appeal. He was going back to jail, and you see like in the movie Bill O'Neill saying to Agent Roy, like, isn't that what you guys wanted? He's going back to... No, you see Agent Roy actually saying to J. Edgar Hoover, and you see a little bit of conflict on his face when he's talking to him. So you see a little bit of that. He still went through it and looked like he was like, well, I'm just going to do it. Yeah. But you see all him like, isn't that what you wanted, sir? And then there's just silence on the phone talking to Hoover. He's like, that's just a short-term solution.
Exactly.
So it's like, no, it wasn't enough to hit.
They were like, we have to end him
dead.
Yes.
That is the only thing good enough.
Yes. And then one of the parts this is the last point I'll make, but I just thought it was so telling that even if he felt bad or any kind of issue or conflict within himself, Roy, the white FBI agent, who was
like a handler
for Bill O'Neill's character. When one of the head FBI agents was in the room and they asked him this one question because he had children and everything, and he was like, "So what are you gonna do if your daughter brings one of them black guys home?" And he was just like, he couldn't really say anything, and he was just like, you just as bad as them, because if you look at it, he was just like, "Oh no, we can't have that." So for him, he was like, all in, I'm doing this. And I just thought that part just ripped me up. I was just like, really? Man, anyway. But the movie was great, and I really recommend people watch it. And I'm not going to lie, I do rate it better than... the
United States versus Philly.
Yes, and we'll go into that now.
You also give it 10 out of 10 glasses? What is your rating?
For
that was
me...
me. Whitney was 10 out of 10 glasses.
I gave it 8 out of 10 glasses. Okay. Only because I wish there was a bit more about his life and stuff, but I know they just kind of wanted to focus on this particular part. Not that it wasn't a great movie. It really was.
It's so interesting that you say that you thought that they were going to focus on that particular part, because that's part of the reason why United States versus Billie Holiday for me got a lower rating. Because it was a difference between my expectation and the movie was, which is not something against the movie. It's just what I expected and what I got was different, because I guess this was in line with what I thought for Judas and the Black Messiah, even though I didn't have that much thoughts on it, because I was very unfamiliar with like the Black Panther Party and Fred Hampton anyway. But for the United States versus Billie Holiday, the synopsis, they were talking about, you know, the song Strange Fruit, and they wanted her to stop singing it, and about the court case, and the movie is called The United States versus Billie Holiday. So I thought it was going to be largely around the court case, and it was like a blip.
Yeah.
In the movie.
There was, I think that's one of the criticism people had with this movie, and why I would give it less start. I would give it, as a film, certain performances, like just with the Judas and the Black Messiah, certain performances I give like a 10. Yeah. Like, I think all the acting. And her
acting, Andra Day, and we're pretty much, you still haven't given your rating, but like, yeah, Andra Day's performance is excellent. Yes.
But when you look at this particular thing for a film, to me, I felt like there were some issues with the storytelling, because it wasn't linear really. So it was like, you're following along in a way, but it's like, it's going over here, it's showing this, it's showing that. There's no back. It tried to go back into her past a little bit. There was this little point where she was having a breakdown, and when she saw some lynching scenes, and it's just like, there was some haphazard stuff going on there to me that I felt like needed to be cleaned up.
That was one part. I was so linear. Confused at that part. For me, I usually have like a easy enough time following things that aren't linear. I have no problem with non-linear storylines.
But I feel like for her, it needed to be.
And sometimes they really work as a storytelling device. Example is like Westworld, which at some point I'm sure we will review. It's not set. We're not set to review it this season, guys, but at some point we'll probably get around to Westworld, which is really great. But it works really well for a show like Westworld. But like here, it went in such a way, that scene that you're talking about, with like the lynching where she sees it. I'm like, is this really happening, or is she tripping? I cannot tell.
Yeah. That part, I just didn't.
I didn't know.
I didn't really know what was going on.
Because then you saw him. You saw like Jimmy come, and I'm like, okay, is he just in her trip episode, or is he like what is God on this?
And I'm not gonna lie. And then I'm not gonna lie. Even the presence of Jimmy and what he becomes, like it's almost like he's painted as the love interest, but the real person that did this to Billie. It was almost like it was just the one time that they caught her so she can go to jail. And it was like, that was the end of their, like, you didn't have this whole thing where they, like, talked and hang out. They hung out forever and ever. I just feel like they added that part for the film. And I was just like, why, though? You know what I mean? I guess to showcase how, one of the issues I had with this movie to me is harder to watch because of her story as someone who's like, you know, I feel like we need to love black women, treat black women better, especially even black men. This woman was so abused by the men in her life and by the hands of black men. Most men, but like black men especially, abused her. They beat her up. They shot her up with they got her hooked on this stuff. They didn't. They slapped her around. They called her out of her name. They stole money from her. They planted drugs on her so she can be caught. The whole movie, you're just seeing her, you know, even in how they had sex with her, it was like, I don't know, it was just so very aggressive, rough. Very dehumanizing. And he was like, oh, you're just some bee, you know. And I'm like, no, she's a woman. The way that one dude kicked her in the stomach.
Oh, my God.
I was like, yo,
and they didn't really
roll up on him
in the movie, but I like looked it up and saw that she actually did at some point marry him.
Yeah.
But I mean, they didn't really show that part in the movie, so you weren't really aware that he was ever her husband. But I'm like,
because she had 3 husbands, and all of them were abusive.
Yeah,
every one of them stole or beat her up.
You dirty, dirty dog.
Yes, and then I was like talking about how her first husband was like in the manager. I'm like, she's the artist here. You ain't nothing. You just but because of the time period, and she was a woman, she had to be managed and handled. But I was like, they treat her like a dog, like she wasn't some famous person that people loved hearing her voice, hearing her sing. Behind the stage, you're like, nothing. You just my cash cow. I hated that. I hated watching that.
Yeah.
I hated that she had to go through that. And that all through her life she was abused with no help, no way to cry out, no way to except for maybe her music. Maybe she got escape in her music.
One of the reasons why I didn't feel this movie as much as I felt Judas and the Black Messiah. I
really this movie was a very emotional movie to me.
It was, but I think it's because I found Fred Hampton to be more relatable and a more more likable character overall. If you're looking at him from a character standpoint, he's a more likable character.
Definitely.
Whereas Billie Holiday, she is a great talent, but as a character, she's not always very likable. Yeah.
And one of the reasons I think that Lee Daniels decided to do it this way, because there's already the movie Lady Sings the Blues that was done by Diana Ross.
My mom told me about that.
I never watched it. I wish I could see it now. But that one more focused on her life and stuff. Because if you look at Billie Holiday's life, since she was a child, there was just abuse. She was raped at 10. And then she was living in a brothel, because her mom was one of the ladies in the brothel. Her mom didn't take care of her. Nobody took care of her. So she had to, of course, be a sex slave there, too. And then she tried to make her way in the world with singing and stuff. And then she would meet men to manage her, to do this. And, of course, then they started abusing her as well. And it was like, honestly, there was a point in the movie where the Jimmy character, who was supposed to be like a soft character that really loved her, like a man that really loved her, it's like when they were having sex, she was not trying to, she was just expecting to be rough, raw dog, pull my hair or whatever. And then when he wanted to be tender and nice, she couldn't take it. It was like she did like this double. She's like, what are you doing?
I know.
And then she left her little liaison with him and went right back to another abusive man. It's almost like she couldn't deal with being loved.
She even said it. She was even aware of it. She, when she left Jimmy,
so sad.
She said, I'm used to a certain type of love. She was like, and if I,
it was so sad to see.
I need a certain type of love to feel safe, which is totally the inverse, because these types of
Stockholm syndrome or something. What? It's not Stockholm syndrome.
I guess something.
I don't know. Something similar like it, where you have to be your abusers, or you just take it. Like she couldn't, and she kept going in a cyclical cycle.
Because the people who she said the type of love she said made her feel safe. These were the people who were most damaging to her, both physically, emotionally, mentally. These were the people who were the least safe. There
was only one person in her band that they said that she loved. She called him the Prez, and it was played by the character that plays the guy that plays Everybody Hates Chris, the little boy from the car. Yeah, so he grows up. He's awesome. He's acting now. I forget his name, but he played a character called the Prez that was really.
I really liked his character.
He was responsible for giving her the nickname Lady Day. That stuck, and that's how Audra Day got her name too. She took her name is Cassandra, and then she loved Billie Holiday growing up, so she just took the Andra part and put Day on it, and that became her stage name.
I didn't know that.
So for her to actually become this, it's like a full circle thing. That's and really she cool. Actually, if you see something, she literally took on Billie Holiday's characteristics and mannerisms and things, because Audra Day didn't smoke, curse, or drink or anything. She started doing all those things just to immerse herself in the. She said to the point where when it was time for her to be herself, she couldn't for a while because she's like, I don't know who the hell I am anymore. So it's her family and everything. I was like, you picked up smoking for a role? Oh no! I was like, no. But she went deep and she did such a wonderful job.
She did. She her performance was excellent. Even though I gave the movie overall a lower rating than Judas and the Black Messiah,
I gave it 6 glasses.
I gave it 7 out of 10 glasses.
Okay.
You never told me what you gave. You did. You said 8 out of 10 glasses for Judas. Okay, but yeah, and that's not down to her acting at all. Her acting is phenomenal, but it's just like I said.
Something
the
with the film
of Billie Holiday is just not as likable of a character.
And that doesn't matter to me as much, but it's just, to me, it was how the sequencing of the film. I just felt like some things, the Jimmy character, just threw me off, because I'm like, how are you going to be the one? He was the one planted by the FBI to betray her in the first place, but he adored her from the beginning. So I'm like, how can you adore this person and then betray her at the same time? And then go back and be like, I work with them still. And I'm the ones the black people the FBI sent one of the blacks to come and get you because they can't do it themselves. And I'm just like, but you following her around, you going with her, you even took drugs with her, you started having a liaison with her, and then you were like, I'm gonna help you now, I'm not gonna work for them. but you still are working for them. I just didn't get it. Like, to me, I just didn't understand that part. And I was like, I don't understand what's going on with this character. Is he going to stay working for them, or is he going to stay with her?
Yeah.
So his motivation, I felt like he deep down loved her, but I was just like, then why are you portraying your race? Like, why are you portraying, betraying her, you know? And then why are you doing, that part, I didn't get it. So I was like, if you know this person, like, he was responsible for, like, her going to jail the first time, why would you go back? Like, I would never, you know what I mean? But yeah, I just thought that was weird. So yeah, and the fact that it didn't really happen in real life. So I just thought he would there was a man planted to get her, and he did that, but there was no story that he was one of her boyfriends or anything. In fact, she might have had some girlfriends that she liked, apparently.
Oh yeah, I read about that she was in a relationship with
one famous white woman, a famous actress at the time.
Yeah,
Tallulah Bankhead or something.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but I forgot to circle back.
That's very interesting because then I read up because like when the gay guy who was interviewing her mentioned that name and their friend was like, "Don't you be asking any more questions about it." I was like, "Well, let me look into this." I was like, "Oh snap! It does say that they were like involved." And then I looked into Tallulah Bankhead and she was like out bisexual, and I'm like, this is the 30s and 40s, like, oh my god.
Yeah, they were doing stuff. They just weren't out about, you know, like they just didn't. She was, but they didn't care. But I forgot.
This is a tangent, but reading up on Tallulah Bankhead, they said that she never identified with the term bisexual, but she called herself ambisexual.
Oh, really?
As an ambidextrous, you know.
Oh, okay.
I just thought that was funny.
Interesting. I forgot to circle back around to why I was talking about the Perez character, because he was like the only man in her life that was like, that was like her closest friend. Like,
she was also like the gay guy in her.
I don't know if that person is a real person, but the Prez was a real person in her band.
That was just a character that they made for the movie?
I think so, because I don't know who he was, and I didn't see anything in some of the stuff that I watched and read. I'm not saying he's not real or not, because I'm sure she had other people around her, but I don't know if Lee Daniels just put him in there because he wanted to do that. I think Lee Daniels himself is gay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't know that.
Isn't he though?
I don't know.
I'll double check on him.
You always go and dig into like the behind
I do. I love digging. I love it.
But I don't. So I don't know. You're the person who would know.
He was the only one, and I just was like, man, it sucks.
I'm the only one that crawled across the fire for you.
Okay, we're gonna go back to the song now. We're going back to the show now. Back to the show. Okay, so again, with this character, one of the things I loved about Billie is that she was so adamant about singing this song still. I wish I had the lyrics for you guys, but just look it up. Strange Fruit. Listen to it if you've never heard that song. It is a haunting song. It really is.
One thing I liked about the way that they did the film is that you get like a snippet of it, like early on when she's on that stage at I forget what famous venue it is, but then like the police start moving in and or was it?
It was the Carnegie Hall.
Mm-hmm. But like you get a snippet of it, and then you don't hear you. Well, she said she wasn't going to sing that song. No, there was some other point in the movie that was early on, and she gets cut off, so you don't actually hear it. And I like the way that they did the movie, so that it's not until like very late in the movie, like mid to late, that you actually hear the entire song.
And the way she sang
I like the way that they kind of set up and did the movie that way.
Yeah, they lied to her. Even her manager, who was white in the beginning, lied to her. They told her that she was just going to go to rehab, and then they put her in jail.
Yeah, I was reading an article that said she didn't even have a lawyer. That like her lawyer didn't even show up
because she was black. And it was just like
she just got railroaded.
Yeah, and then my thing is after she came out of jail. I don't think she spent that long in jail. Like I think she spent like some months maybe. But when she came out, she wanted to just start her singing career up again. She's like, let me get back to what I'm doing. But they did not. Apparently at that time you needed a license.
A cabaret license.
And they did not. They took it away from her. So it was so difficult for her to keep her job. And I'm like, really? Not only did they, just to suppress her and squeeze her more, they put her in jail. They lied to her. They tripped her up. And then she's trying to build her career. They stopped that. But luckily they couldn't stop her. She still became famous. She just had to do it in other ways. But I just thought that was really it was so unnecessary force. You know, like they literally tried to just squeeze squeeze. And then what I hated the most was that the white guy that was this FBI agent from this film got an award, like, after all this stuff was like, they showed it in the end of was it this movie or the Judas and the Black Messiah? No, it was this one. They showed that the guy that was going after her and how he continued his racist policy, he continued working for the FBI. He got an award by a president. He was awarded a president. I mean, a presidential award by a president for his work and service for many years. I'm like, oh, so you mean his work of being a racist ass mofo, you know? Yeah.
I think actually, I think I read about that, or they showed it in there.
They showed it in the end.
He was like, because they showed him as being, I guess, on like narcotics and stuff. So I guess maybe his work continued in narcotics, but I mean, his thing with her was so
severe
that.
To the point where
like,
she's on her deathbed and they still try to grab her.
Drug cartel leader. She is not distributing drugs. This is one person.
They had to get the N-words. They got to get those niggers. That's what they were doing. Oh, so terrible.
So why is the FBI for this one person who is only harming themselves? It's because she had the potential to affect other people with her song about and exposing this racism.
Yeah, and I was like, for the fact that it was allowed to be, anyway, I can't even talk about the lynching thing, because they actually put the stat up that even in this day and age, in the 2000s, they are trying to ban lynching, and it still was not approved by our current government within the past few years. So there's still lynching is still legal, really, in this United States.
I mean, it's not legal.
It's not something you can do, but there's no law against it that they should do.
Yeah, it's not like
it's not killing people.
It's
is
not
not
like on the
right.
federal level. It's probably just only prosecuted, I guess, at the state level. Would be my guess. I don't know, you guys.
Yeah, but they tried to ban it completely, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't have time for this.
Yeah,
nobody's really doing it." I'm like, you don't know that? I just thought that this film, to me, I still thought it was an important film to watch. I really did. Mm-hmm. I did enjoy the film. I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a very good film.
I did enjoy the film very much. I enjoyed both of these films, honestly. I was on
they
my whole Black Power.
Films. It's just that, comparatively, I think that Judas and the Black Messiah comes out ahead.
Yeah, and I actually liked listening to more of her songs, because I'm not aware of her songs. Because
Billie Holiday?
Yeah, I'm not. I know who she is, but I'm not aware of her.
I wasn't as
songs.
well. I mean, I know the one song. I'm pretty familiar with the one song that a lot of people liked. Crap.
What was it called?
It was one of the love songs.
Lady Sings the Blues?
No.
Something like All I Have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was beautiful. I loved it. And I just thought that the costuming and the music in the movie, her singing ability, it was so done. I might bump it up to 7 glasses just because of that. Because I was just like, to me, Audra Day deserved the Golden Globe she got.
Oh, and she got a Golden Globe?
She got a Golden Globe too.
I'm glad.
She deserved it. She really did. Because her taking them punches from those guys, taking that abuse, fighting, dealing with the drugs and everything, and how she had to showcase all that and keep it together.
All of the singing during the movie was actually her singing Billie Holiday's songs.
All the singing. So you know what's interesting? I will put this note before we wrap up. Lee Daniels didn't think of her to play this role, and he didn't want her at first. He wanted somebody who could act and who sang. And Audra Day went to musical. She went to like a musical arts school. She did learn how to act and stuff, but she just decided to focus on music because that's what she wanted to do.
Okay.
So it wasn't like she couldn't act. She just never had a chance to.
Okay.
But everyone was like, "You need to," and she had sung "Strange Fruit" like on the Trevor Noah show and some other places before, just because she was trying to pay homage to Billie Holiday. But then she got this role. So they said the funny thing was she came in for the interview. I mean, for the audition. And while she was doing the audition, and this is what made Lee Daniels pick her. While she was doing the audition, she was convincing herself that she wasn't good enough to play this role. And Lee Daniels said he had never seen an actor do that in front of them. Like, that while you're trying to audition for the character, that you're like, no, I don't. You respect. He loved that she respected Billie Holiday so much that she didn't even think she was good enough to do it, and that like totally changed his mind. And then he picked her, and he said it was the best decision he ever made. And I just thought it was that was lovely to see, and I just was like, it was really a connection made, But again, both of these films are doing great things for the cause. I love seeing more Black films, even though these are like hard movies. You feel like being like, fight the power, fist up. I put a fist up for both of these movies. I was so angry But it made me think about all these issues, all the topics we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
racism in America, the current state, how I didn't realize how pervasive racism was, how dangerous it is, how terrible it is for everybody involved, even. Like, reading the books I'm reading,
your earlier word that you used is perfect. Insidious.
Yes. It's really just the idea of it. It's keeping us, it's like, unfortunately for America, it's the foundation of this place. I don't know what has to happen to completely eradicate it when everything, to me, after doing my research, it looks like everything we have is based off of racism. Everything that was going on. Like, it's in the housing, it's in the schools, it's just everywhere.
That's why it's institutional racism, because it's at the institutional level, even at the government level.
Yes. And I just like, what will it take to eradicate this? I don't know. One of my cousins thinks, like, she's like, America will have to be destroyed itself in order to rebuild on it. And I don't know if we can go that far, but that's what she thinks. But I wish, I feel like this thing is just not allowing America to be the America it's supposed to be. And that comes from a Duke Ellington poem that you guys look it up. It's just really good. But I just wish America could be the America it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? It could be so much better than it is if we would just get rid of this ugly thing. And for Black people, just keep going. Keep it strong. Keep fighting for yourselves. Read and listen, and honestly, re-educate yourself too, because the stuff we learned in school, nada. Like, I'm so shocked at how much stuff I'm learning now. I'm 30 something, and I'm like, I'm still learning about all these. I'm like, how come I didn't hear about this? Yeah. When I listen to my audiobooks,
it's really
how come I didn't hear about this?
It's really a golden age in like arts, and media, and the types of films and shows that are being made. Because like in the last just like year and a half, there have been so many things that have brought these different like topics to more light, like mainstream. Like from things like Lovecraft Country, Watchmen, Judas and the Black Messiah.
It's like they're re-educating our history through the way that people receive media now.
And that's the way that you have to really get people on board, because not everyone is would consider themselves to be a political person. I would not usually consider myself to be a political person, but you can reach me through music. You can reach me through story. And that's really the way that you, I think, touch the most people, which is why Billie Holiday was so dangerous to them, because music touches so many people. Yeah. And that's why they targeted her in particular as a singer, who was only harming herself with her drug use and things like that, because she was dangerous, because she had a medium that could change people.
And she was so tortured. I feel like there was
no
no outlet for Black people. I don't honestly know how, without like psychology and everything.
Have a chance.
I don't know how they survived.
No chance. Like, looking at her past, I just don't see any way that she would have made it very to like an old age. Like, she never had a chance.
She had no outlet. I feel like the drugs helped. Like they said, it helped take the edge off. It helped her cope with all the stuff she couldn't express or deal with.
Amount of therapy. Like, there was just no way she was going to make it.
Right. And then the drug use continued.
Yeah. And then,
and she was penniless,
cirrhosis.
Apparently. She died penniless. Up until the point that she was on her deathbed, the FBI was like, they showed it in the film, how they had her handcuffed to her bed. Yeah. Because they still wanted, if she was going to survive her hospital stay, they wanted to take her to jail again. All because, and then I love the ending where she's like, your grandchildren will be singing Strange Fruit. We're singing that song. And I was like, yeah, you stick it to them. You stick it to them. You stick it to them. And it's true. The nation is still singing the song.
One thing I do want to like just touch on before we wrap up, in regards to Billie Holiday in particular, and like the men in her life, and even though this wasn't like actually true of in real life, but just in the movie in particular, since you said that Jimmy's relationship with her was not in the movie was not the same as in real life.
It was fictionalized.
But like, there's this movie called The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and there's a really great quote for that movie that I think
Hermione Granger.
Yeah.
Well, Emma Watson is the character.
Exactly.
Person's name.
That's really apropos for Billie Holiday and her relationships with these men who were so toxic. And that quote is, "We accept the love we think we deserve."
You better let's snap on that. That's good. That's good stuff right there. So deserve more, people. Think that you deserve. Know that you deserve more and better.
That's right.
It's so true. We love you guys. We're gonna sign. We talked a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have broken this up into 2 different ones, but we just thought it was so good to compare and contrast and look at these 2 films together. And so please also don't forget, contact us, leave us comments, reviews. We have a Facebook page now, and we also have Instagram. So just BlerdTalk BW with Bola and Whitney on Facebook, and then BlerdTalk BW on Instagram. Yeah, Twitter. Just leave us comments and reviews wherever you can. We love to hear from you all. Okay, reach out.
That's right. And now we are blerding
out. Have a good one, everybody.
All right,
bye.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Please subscribe to our show on whatever podcast listening app you use, and share the show with other Blerds and non-Blerd family and friends. And if you like our episode, please rate and review us on iTunes.
The intro and outro music is Twilight by Caption. You can find them on SoundCloud. The username Caption, spelled CAPSHUN. The show notes are by Bola Hansen, and the audio engineering is by Whitney Booker.
And you can contact us by email at blerdtalkbw@gmail.com. And also, don't forget to get social, you guys. You can find us on our social media at Instagram and Twitter, with our @handle being @blerdtalkbw. And we've got our individual things going on too, y'all. So you can find me, your Blerd Fashionista, on Instagram and Twitter at BolaStoryB. That's B with 2 E's like the insect. And I've got my own personal YouTube channel, just Bola Sade. That's BOLASHADE. D as in dog, E as in elephant.
And this is Whitney. You can find me at my company, Luminavi Studios. The email address is wit@luminavi.com. That's WHIT@LUMENAVI.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Luminavi Studios.